break down what took place Friday in St. Louis. Well, former cop Jason Stockley was frankly let go, walked a free man after killing a 24-year-old black man. It was stunning, Tom, to listen to the judge in this case say, yeah, I know he said he was going to kill that MF, but he didn't really mean it. I mean, when you had DNA of the gun only matching Stockley and not the guy who got shot and killed. It was unbelievable, just evidence after evidence, and again, goes to show that if you are a cop in America, you have a license to kill, especially black folks. Joining us right now is Reddit Hudson, co-founder of the National Coalition of Law Enforcement for Justice, Reform, and Accountability. And Reddit, you and others, y'all put out a video saying this man should have been convicted. Again, this is, I mean, to listen to the judge describe this was shocking and appalling.
Yeah, Roland, we actually put that video out ahead of the verdict, calling for his conviction. That was myself representing NCLEOJ jointly with Sergeant Heather Taylor, who represents the Ethical Society of Police, which is the Black Police Officers Association here in St. Louis, of which I was a member when I was on the department. When you reference the DNA, it's important for your listeners to also know not only was his DNA the only DNA found on the gun, but some of his DNA was found under the screws of the gun, where you assemble and disassemble the weapon. He announced a murder, he carried out a murder, and he should have been convicted of murder and sentenced to prison. What we have to do, as I've said to you on any number of occasions, is pull together our black law enforcement folks, man, people from marginalized communities and communities that are impacted by racist policing and the institutional racism that is at the foundation of the American criminal justice system, and fight it from the inside. Whether you're a retired, former, current officer, we have to build that critical mass to challenge the system. I think we're in the best position to do it and join forces with the organic movement that you've seen rise up on these streets, led by our young folks. We have a space in that is very important that we fill.
Reddy, you spent how many years on the force?
I was 5 years on, and that was enough.
This is how the Advancement Project summed up the Stockley case. One, he carried an unauthorized AK-47. He violated department policy, firing at a fleeing vehicle, premeditated that he would kill Smith by firing into the vehicle, and then fired inside the vehicle at Smith at close range, removed his gloves, and planted a weapon in the vehicle.
Not guilty.
Yeah.
After video showed Lamar Smith's body removed from the vehicle, Stockley appears to climb inside. Then he all of a sudden finds a .38 revolver.
Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
He went back to his vehicle about 4 times, and there is interior video of him inside his vehicle, but he is shielding whatever he's getting out of that duffel bag in the back seat of his car. He's shielding from the view of the camera, and it appears that he's doing that intentionally.
Stockley also claimed shots were fired, even though the only shots fired were the ones from his own gun.
Right. It's again, Roland, you know, and I know, and many of the black officers around this country know that there's 2 separate criminal justice systems, one for us and one for the police, and that's what we have to fight. And I'm encouraged to see the response that we've been getting from officers around the country. I'm supposed to be reaching out later this week. We missed each other a couple of days ago with Sergeant Edwin Raymond, who was the brother out in New York City that organized the protest in support of Colin Kaepernick. If you saw those black New York City police officers out there take a stand, we have to connect each other up and push the fight against this racist criminal justice system.
Again, for folks
you said you were an officer for 5 years. You couldn't take it anymore, but yet you're encouraging officers that are still in the system to fight from within. Why didn't you?
I did. I absolutely did. While I was
and what
there,
happened?
And that was enough. There was some change.
Did you get fired?
Me. No, but there was some change around me. What the issue would be is that there were officers who were less likely to abuse the rights and civil liberties and human rights of the people that they were interacting with in your presence. And that's an impact. That's a real impact. But one officer can't make the change. That's why we need to build a critical mass. One officer standing alone can be picked off. Sergeant Heather Taylor, who made that video with me calling for the conviction of Jason Stockley, is targeted right now as we speak. We need officers to rally to her. That is the importance of building a movement and a number of officers together who can stand against a system that is positioned to come at you relative to your employment, relative to your promotions, relative to your safety.
And Reddit, to that point there, when we always hear these people say, oh, not all cops are bad, what I and others keep saying is, it's time for these so-called good cops to step up and say something and not just hide in the shadows.
Absolutely. What's the point of you being a good cop if you don't at least address the issue? And relative to that commonly shared sentiment that it's just a few officers, I beg to disagree. I've got a colleague, K.L. Williams, who is himself still a police officer here in St. Louis. He's the chief of a municipality, but he was a St. Louis City officer at one point who wrote use of force policy. And he says this: on any given day, in any major urban department, you've got 15% of your officers that are going to do the right thing all the time, whether anybody's looking or not. You've got 15% of your officers that will abuse their authority at every given opportunity. The remaining 70% of your officers could go either way, depending on who they're working around and who's had the most influence on them relative to the police culture. And in too many instances, the 15% that will abuse their authority exert an outside influence on the other officers.
Are you seeing any progress within the system, within the police departments?
The only progress that I've seen is an increased willingness on the part of the officers that I'm putting this kind of call out to, that we at NCLEOJ put this call out to take that step and fight the system. But relative to the system itself,
yes,
not much.
Protest.
Especially with Jeff Sessions at the top of it and the clown in chief pushing the narratives that he's pushing.
Protests will continue in St. Louis. We'll keep folks updated on what's happening there. Reddit Hudson, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh, my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.